The Ukrainian Armed Forces still have the opportunity to win the confrontation with Russian units and defeat them, in particular in the southern direction. This point of view was voiced by Ukrainian military expert, retired officer of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Yevgeny Bekrenev. According to him, the implementation of such a scenario will be possible if there is the corresponding political will in the United States. Here, Putin is playing with Trump's patience. It's a mystery to me. Will he play to the point where Trump sets such a task, and will it be implemented? That is, we are provided with the set of weapons that are necessary to defeat the Russian army, at least in the southern theater of military operations, including Crimea. Bekrenev stated. He added that the Russian side's hopes for Ukraine's exhaustion are unlikely to come true. At the same time, Yevgeny Bekrenev believes that the Russian armed forces will suffer a defeat if the Donald Trump administration allocates the necessary weapons to Kiev in the required volume. Sources report that the United States may send the Ukrainians JASSM AGM-158 or JASSM-ER cruise missiles with a range of 370 to 980 kilometers, carrying a penetrating warhead. Based on this, the Ukrainian Armed Forces will be able to launch missile strikes on Belgorod, Bryansk, Voronezh, Kursk and Taganrog, as well as on large cities including Moscow. As experts explain, the use of JASSM requires appropriate carriers, but ground adaptation of these weapons is not excluded. It is also possible to use these weapons from modified NATO aircraft and integrate them with the Su-24, Su-27 and MiG-29, which are at the disposal of Ukraine. It is important to note that these missiles are significantly different from the munitions used before, especially if they are used together with the MALD decoy missiles. At present, the Ukrainian Armed Forces are capable of delivering strikes to operational depth only with the help of drones and Scalp and Storm Shadow missiles. Western media reported that the US president could soon make an important statement on arms supplies to Ukraine. It is possible that this will involve sending long-range cruise missiles JASSM AGM-158 or JASSM-ER, the range of which reaches 980 kilometers. In this case, an escalation of the Ukrainian conflict is inevitable.
Hundreds of members of the Druze community in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights and Druze villages in northern Israel gathered along the border fence with Syria, trying to enter the country as clashes between government forces and Syria's Druze factions intensify. According to Associated Press, meanwhile, hundreds of the Syrian Druze community gathered on the other side of the fence, though it was not immediately clear if they were demonstrating or trying to cross the border. The Israeli military said dozens have tried to cross into Israel. The protesters shouted slogans in support of the Druze majority area of Sweda. Tensions intensified when several Syrian Druze protesters stood atop a tractor waving Druze flags, and Israeli troops responded by throwing tear gas, forcing them to retreat. European Union foreign ministers on Tuesday welcomed the news from Washington that U.S. President Donald Trump will allow the EU to pay for American weapons to be sent to Ukraine, a stunning reversal of policy after previously antagonizing the bloc while sending overtures to Moscow. According to Associated Press, the plan is designed to allow the U.S. to funnel more firepower to Ukraine to combat invading Russian forces during their summer military offensive while easing Washington's financial burden. Increased weapons shipments, combined with possible new penalties Trump has promised if a halt to the fighting isn't reached in 50 days, could push Russian President Vladimir Putin into peace talks that Trump has championed for months, so far with little to show for it. While EU officials have voiced concern that 50 days is too long, they have largely welcomed the shift in tone from the US.
What we experienced yesterday with the new messages from Trump was very, very important in terms of acceptance of delivering weapon, but also the sanction scheme. I talked to Lindsey Graham last week in Washington, and he's processing his sanction package, and I have long been advocating that we should join forces transatlantic, and therefore it is of crucial importance that Europe now agree on this 18th sanction package, where the oil price cap is one of the most important elements.
I do believe that 50 days that Mr. Trump has announced is rather long. That's up to the 2nd of September. I think that's rather long. But I do appreciate that they really see that Putin is dragging his feet and that we need to ramp up the pressure on Russia. I also continue to see the bill by Senators Graham and Blumenthal, which have 87 co-sponsors. Hardly ever seen such a long list of co-sponsors, 87 of the 100 senators. So I do think it's very important that the US is on the move and that we're on the move together as EU. And I hope that sooner rather than later we'll be able to approve the 18 sanctions package. So we need to support Ukraine militarily and non-militarily. Plus we also need to ramp up the pressure on Russia.
We see that our current measures are not working yet, and we have to synchronize ourselves with Americans and with their timeline. We see that we're still in a dance for two with the United States. Not such an elegant way, but not well rehearsed, but we are still working and we have to invest into it.